Jay Martashev and Wall to go May. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Hope you're all doing well. God bless each and every one of you. So we're live broadcasting from God's country, Castlefin, County Donegal. And we've got a man from Navan with me. And he'll be joining us in just a second, Mr. Christopher Duffy. We've got lots to discuss tonight. So I want to thank everybody for joining me in the live chat. Good men and women, and all the non-binary people too who might be in there. Sean Mack, thanks for joining us. Good man. Reno, thanks for moderating. Robert McGuire, good to see you. Where else? We're live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube, we're live on Twitter, and we're live on Instagram. So let me know in the live chat where you're all from. And we'll bring on our guest in just a second here before... Oh, I'm trying to bring up the live chat here on Facebook. So let's hear Lord's Prayer as Gilliga, and then we'll bring in our guest. So please join me. Nanya Manahar agus a Vic agus Spirit Neve, amen. Arnyahar atar now, go ni for Daniel, good dad to the rate, go nyanter the hollow and talav mar yanter now. Ar nar na hul to doing you, agus might do our effecta, mar away how much effect in a fian, ag na election a gahu, ag seer shina ulk, amen. Nanya Manahar agus a Vic agus Spirit Neve, amen. Yes, I was just a joke now about the non-binary people, but you know what I mean. Have to have a laugh sometimes. Alright, everybody, look. If the very least you could do is subscribe, share these live streams with all your friends and family, we'd really appreciate it. We broadcast live every Tuesday, Thursday, Sundays at 8 p.m. We bring on guests. We do good, we upload videos. We do like kind of news live streams as well. So we're just trying to mix things up with bringing guests on the show. So, good stuff. Right, without further ado, let's bring on our guest right now. And there we go. Good man, Chris. Thanks so much for joining us tonight.
No, Niall, it's a pleasure. So it is to be here.
So why don't you introduce yourself there, Chris? What do you get up to, and what have you been, following this past while, I suppose?
Oh, sure, look, I'm following everything. Now, there's that much over the last couple of years. I suppose, is it since COVID, our lives just seem to have been turned upside down. Before that, I always was a bit of an activist. I always saw things a bit different to other people. But I really think from the scamdemic, that's when we really seen that the control is just coming at us, head on,
I 100%. There was looking back now at the scamdemic, it's quite unbelievable what the establishment got the Irish people to do. I think there was a huge uptick percentage-wise regarding the jab. A lot of people, anybody I speak to now, regret it, and they were isolating themselves in their homes, were afraid to go anywhere, wearing masks everywhere. Like anytime I go to a shop, I was myself and my wife were the only ones not wearing masks. It was just complete and total compliance from the Irish people.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, one thing that I always remember was a lot of people wouldn't take the vaccine, myself included, because we feared it, and we turned out our judgment was right, but it divided the community, and it was the first time I really saw a big division. And what I noticed was the people who didn't want to get vaccinated minded their own business and just didn't take it. They never told anybody else not to take it. But the people who were taking it, really, a relation of my own a couple of years ago, during the pandemic, was at a mass locally and was invited back to this house for a cup of tea. And they said, I can't go to that house. Christopher's not vaccinated. And that same person, will sit in a room beside me now, or sit, and I wouldn't lower myself to bring it up, but I'll never look at that person the same again.
I don't know if you got this, but you probably did. You ever go into the shop and you buy, something in the shop, a loaf of bread or a pint of milk? I know you go to pay, and the people, the shopkeeper stands back, takes 2-3 foot step back, as if you've got leprosy or something because you're not wearing a mask.
Look, I had a theory, right? I had this theory at the time that if Crow Park, for example, was full and there was either a football game or a concert in it, and there was 50 or 60 or 70,000 people at it, and they were all vaccinated, right? And there was one man outside the stadium walking his dog, outside minding his own business, and he wasn't vaccinated, and there was an outbreak inside that blamed him. That's the way it went.
You're right there. It was just complete and utter hypnosis that was going on during the scamdemic. Suppose, what do you see happening now in your neck of the woods in Navan? Like, I suppose regarding, like, I talk a lot about immigration on my show, and like what I suppose the Irish government are trying to foist onto the Irish people without any consent at all.
But sure, we've even gone beyond that. Like we could have had this discussion a couple of years ago. But I'll give you an example of the false and the fake news. And we're the people on the right, as we're called. We're not on the right. We're just living where we always lived. We're always blamed for false information. In Navan, in my nearest town, like I'm 10 kilometers away from the town, but it's my nearest town. We got word that there was a big iPass centre being opened, right? We had builders working in it, everything like that. We knew there was nobody in the building. It was a Friday evening, and it was the first sign of any of these illegal single men coming to our town. We had a protest. I didn't organise it. I attended it. We went to our town. We walked out to the building. We, done the usual. There was lads. I don't know who. A lot of them were strangers. It was funny at the time who was organising these things. But anyway, we protested at the building, said it wasn't right, blah blah, whatever. The next morning, there was a local politician on local radio talking about the terrifying ordeal it was for the women and children that were in the house at the time. The only people that were in the house was 2 painters and an electrician. And they knew it was one of them that tipped us off that there was nobody there. And like even because I went into that house maybe a week or two later, knocked at the door to actually find out who was living in it. Met lovely, actually Ukrainian women at the time in the house. And I asked them, was it frightening? Like the security man kind of, I'd say he would have lost his job. He opened the door and let me in. And I asked, there was a girl with good English, what did the ordeal of the protest terrify them? And she said no, that they didn't arrive until the following Tuesday.
A lying politician, well, who would have thought that,
And we have a situation in Drogheda at the moment. On Halloween night, there was a house, it's all over the headlines, there's 28 immigrants in the house. First of all, it was a firework, then it was this, that, and the other. It turns out now, this will tell you the craziness. The house is belonging to a drug dealer. It's a feud-related thing, and the house was petrol-bombed or whatever. It wasn't. It was a feud-related incident, and yet everybody that is against immigrants was literally accused of burning that house down over the last week.
Yeah, didn't TD Paul Murphy blame the far right for doing it?
Yes, the far right done it. Yeah. And like, but they have to. They blame the far right for everything. If he stubs his toe tonight when he gets out of the bed to go to the toilet, he'll blame the far right.
Did you see there in County Donegal, my county in the west of Donegal County, or the Guidora and the Gaeltacht, you've got this mad communist councillor called Michael Gillespie, or Mickey Gillespie, as I call him. But he was on about the far right. He's just obsessed with the far right. And he said the far right are now sniper training an explosive and all over Ireland, and this is a big, big concern,
But go back to this far right. These things have been invented. Like this country was at war for years, and there was 2 sides in a war, but neither side was called far right. There were just different people on different sides of something. And this thing, people have disagreed on subjects all their lives, whether it be anything. You know what I mean? But this far right thing, I'd love to know who invented it.
Well, it's an imported term from America.
Right.
Yeah, it's the same with all this radical LGBT stuff, transgender ideology. It's all imported. It's not organic at all.
Yeah. And that's what worries me. Anything you see in America, like even everything, like as somebody said, if America sneezes, we get pneumonia. Like look at we're only after finishing with Halloween, right? And Halloween has become such a huge thing now in Ireland with decorations and houses covered. That didn't exist when I was young. And I remember an aunt of mine talking about Christmas in America, and she was on about outside lights in Ireland. And I don't know whether you're old enough to remember, but I remember when and now you'd stop to look at an outside tree decorated at a house. Now you'd stop to look at a house that didn't have a tree. You'd nearly say, "Oh, they must be grieving for somebody. There's no lights outside the house." And as I mean, it's all comes from America, and there's a lot of crazy things going on in America. So expect more craziness here.
You make a good point about Halloween. Like, it's definitely been so commercialized and Americanized. Like, I remember when during Halloween, it was like a traditional Samhain festival where we would have you'd have the apple hanging from the ceiling with a string, and you have the apples bobbing in the water. Like, I remember doing that up in the school, my local primary school. But there was no costumes. There was no this mad it's trick or treating thing too. Again, it's imported thing coming from America.
It's an important thing, but you know what it also is? It's an expense on parents that our parents didn't have and couldn't have afforded anyway. But everything is an expense now, and it's commercialized. And I suppose that's with technology and with social media, with all the different channels, with everything. It's just in your face all the time, and that's just the way it's going to be.
100%. So I suppose this is pivot a wee bit. You do contracting in the farming game.
Yeah.
What's that like? And what's it like for a self-employed man there with your business? Like, and how is the Irish regime treating you? Like, regarding, do they help you with the business, or are they just taxing you to death like everyone else?
No, it's the self-employed people. My view of being self-employed, and I've been self-employed virtually my whole life. You're punished. It's as if you're punished for being self-sufficient. When I say self-sufficient, you get nothing from the state. I left school after me junior cert. I worked for a few years driving tractors, and then I bought my own tractor, and I've been in business ever since. And I've had highs and lows, and I've had some really bad lows, but I've never been on social welfare. You know what I mean? I've never cost the state anything. I've never had a medical card. I don't know disrespect anyone that has one. I think it's a great thing. I have my own private health insurance. I've everything, but yet everything is out to punish you. It's more money for this, more money for that. Look at the carbon taxes. The carbon tax alone could be costing me 14 to 15,000 a year. That's insanity. You know, no, it's everything stacked again. Yeah, when you're self-employed trying to run a business in this country, there's no help for you.
So what percentage is the carbon tax, or how is that calculated regarding you specifically, I suppose, because you're a farming contractor?
Yeah, no, don't ask me about figures. I don't know how many cent it is. It's so many cent a litre, and it's rising 2 cent every year. I think we could be at 14, 15. I don't know what many cent a litre we're on at this stage. I'm no good at remembering figures, but I know it's a ball of money anyway. And we have no alternative. It never made sense. The carbon tax was something to get you out of your car, get you onto public transport. We haven't got our public transport in this country it's shameful, even for people in urban areas. But how in the name of God is people in rural Ireland supposed to park their cars and use public transport? It's not possible.
Yeah, this whole Agenda 21 sustainable development is right in our faces now. In my towns in Donegal, they're removing and making roads narrower for cars and installing all these bike lanes, and no one uses them.
Nobody uses them. No, we have in I had a run all last winter where I was going up to North County Dublin to do a job most mornings on the tractor, and where I used to drive on the hard shoulder and let traffic past me. Now I can't. The traffic is building up behind me in massive numbers because there's a bike lane where the hard shoulder used to be. I think in 2 months I saw one cyclist on the bike lane. Even like if you break down now, you have nowhere to pull in. You know.
I think the bike lanes are for the future when they're going to ban petrol and diesel engines, the combustible engine, and we have to cycle everywhere. It's for the peasants. It's for long term. It's a long term strategy.
Well, I'll never leave the house then. That'll be do. I'll just put the feet up if it comes to that.
You're not going to get your bike out, no?
No. But look at, but you see, if you go back even to things, what really infuriates me about Ireland, and I don't know what way it is in other countries, everywhere we look, they're making changes. But has anybody actually asked for these changes? Like, has the people on the bicycles said, have they went out? I didn't see the people on the cyclists above protesting outside Leinster House looking for these these bike lanes. But yet they got them. There's another thing. Look what's going on in the schools and our local school here. It's a good job I haven't got any kids in the local secondary school, because I'd have took a wrecking ball to it. There's a new massively renovated secondary school, and the toilets in it are unisex toilets, right? Nobody asked for that. The gay students didn't ask for it. Like the parents, nobody asked for it. So why has it been done?
Yeah, the Irish government is following an agenda here. It's a top-down agenda coming from the United Nations. It's not coming from the Irish people, like you say. No one asked for it, no one's voting for it, no one protested about it. It's coming from outside forces. Like the Irish people fought so hard to get rid of one foreign occupier, the British Empire, for another one now. Well, a far, far worse one, the European Union, United Nations. These people are utter globalists, and they just want to destroy Ireland forever. They want no sense of national identity. They want us as like these kind of worldwide citizens where no one has an identity, no one has any sovereignty, and that's what they're doing right now.
And you have, and as I said, you have people protesting out to the Dáil, people with autistic children, people. Look at we have 4 people, or is it 5 people, on hunger strike outside Leinster House that were in homes and were abused, and they're there, and the poor people will starve if they're not dealt with shortly. And there's no money to compensate them. There's no money for this. There's no money for that. But without anyone looking for it, all the greenways around me here, and I don't mind the greenways around here too much because they were old, disused railway tracks. But there were fortune spent on them. Now they've even been tarmacked. Miles and miles and miles of them. And you can't drive certain roads around here with potholes.
The potholes are mandatory here too.
So like this is what I'm saying. You have certain parts of society out on the streets protesting, and they're getting nothing. But the money has been spent on things that nobody's even asking for.
I know, I can't explain it either. I don't know why. Well, I do have a good idea why they're doing it. Is they're following the top-down agenda from the UN, the EU, the WHO, the World Health Organization, and they're marching us towards utter tyranny with this Agenda 21. I had a good guest on there on Tuesday, Nori O'Shea. She kind of got into what this is all about regarding smart cities. And they want you out of they can't control you when you're out living in the rural countryside. They want you in the city so they can control you, and they want you living in these big stack and pack buildings where they and everything's controlled, and you're on a social credit system like they are in China. And if you're a bad boy and you're criticizing the government, or you've eaten too much meat, then you're not going to be able to get access to these, I don't know, you're not going to get access to meat, you're not going to get access to food, you won't be able to travel, you won't be able to get on airplanes. Only the elite will be able to do these things.
I remember back, it must be 20 years ago now, I was out in the Czech Republic. I was out at a wedding in Prague, and I remember we had got a new Skoda car at home at the time. And when the local garage man heard we were going there, he said, "Just I'll organise a factory tour for you of the Skoda factory." So we were collected, we were brought to the Skoda factory, and as you're coming to where they build the Skodas, and there's an awful lot of Audi parts and Seat and everything built in the same place, you go through this small town, you might call it, of apartment blocks, right? And the apartment blocks belong to Skoda. And everybody that lives in them work in the factory and work for the for the industry. And the way the lad given us to drive us sort of explained was the people is not on great wages, but they get subsidized groceries, they get subsidized this, they get subsidized that. And all I could think of was, don't go to own the people. So you have somebody working for you, you're housing them, you're giving them vouchers for cheaper food, you're probably giving them this, you're giving them that. Then people can never really stand up against you and look for better facilities and look for this. And I think that's what has happened. The people at the top in this world think we have too much freedom and they want to take it from us. And when you have billionaires and that when you have billionaires, multi-billionaires who are bored of money, they're very dangerous people. So they are. They just want control, and this seems to be what like Klaus Schwab and all these people were never elected, and yet they seem to be ruling the world.
Well, it's like the European Union as well. The heads of that, they were never elected. Like I remember when the European Union came into Ireland, or when we were forced to vote twice. Now I was very young when that happened.
Lisbon, yeah,
Lisbon
I
Treaty.
remember.
But I remember, I remember when the currency changed overnight. The price of food. I don't know if you like. I remember because it was a packet of Skittles was 38p. But I remember then the price the next day had skyrocketed like 50%. And we were told that the price wouldn't go up, the price of food would not go up. And I remember being sold to us, when you go to France and Germany on holidays, you'll be able to use the same currency. I don't know, maybe you might know more than me, but like control over our sovereignty or immigration or waters was never discussed when we joined the EU. It was just this nonsense about you're able to travel and use the euro currency. It's going to be great.
Well, you see, I heard it explained when we joined Europe. All of a sudden, overnight, we thought we were a great success, but we actually weren't. We didn't do it for ourselves. It was all money was given to us, and we were all of a sudden our government walking around with their chests out. Oh, look how successful we are! But they weren't. They, as you say, it'd be like the lad that couldn't farm the land because he was useless, and then he sells a field, and all of a sudden he has 100,000 in the bank, and he thinks he's a success story. Well, he's not. Do you know what I mean? Because the lad down the road can't make a living without selling the land. But no, when the euro came in, the infrastructure started improving and all that, but whatever it done, it left us all with no money. So it did.
Yeah, we're badly in debt now, and the Irish people never had any debt.
No, but and I tell you another thing. Like I was born in '79, the very end of '79. So my childhood was in the '80s, you'd say, and nobody had any money, but nobody had much debt either. And we used to be brought to football games in old Toyota Corollas and Mazda 323s that you didn't have the NCT cars. There was none of that. You'd see the road underneath them. There was no buses. We didn't have to be brought on buses. You could have 10 young lads in a car. Nowadays, everyone has this fancy house. There's two good cars outside it. But the people were still better off back then. They hadn't the big fancy house. They hadn't the big fancy cars. But they were happy. They hadn't the stresses that go along with today's living. And nowadays, you have to have a good car because you have to test the bloody thing every couple of years. And if you bring it to a garage, it could be 6 months worth of repayments to do a little job on it. So you're better with the newer thing. And we've got into this cycle. I got into this wheel. I just can't step off it.
100%. Inflation is through the roof, and young families now, they can't afford to buy or build a new house because it's so expensive. I remember, like in my parents' time, like you didn't need. The mother could probably stay at home, and the father had a reasonable job, and he'd be able to get a mortgage from the bank, no problem. But now, just times have changed completely, and it's an extortionate cost to build or buy a house at the minute.
Well, wasn't it said there recently, a year or so ago, that we'd say a couple, maybe one a guard and one a teacher, and their income wasn't strong enough to get a mortgage. Like, my God, like these were always the jobs that you should have, Then farmers aren't being allowed to build on their own. How, like, this is the thing that really fucking bugs me. People aren't allowed to build on their own land because they don't want they don't want one-off houses with one-off septic tanks. They want you they want you to buy a house in the town that the sewage and everything is already piped into a system that doesn't work and then is being piped into the local rivers. Whereas if you actually build a house in the countryside, you have to follow all the regulations. You put in a state-of-the-art septic tank and you get a lad like me or someone else to come every year or 2 years to empty it, and there's no pollution. But yet they're not allowing you to do that. You have to buy the one in the town.
Well, it goes back to the Gen 21. They don't want you living. It's all nonsense. They want you living in the towns so they can control you. That's what it's all about. It's not about. They use the excuse of environment when it's a load of nonsense, and they're putting the pollution into the rivers.
Yeah. But look, I don't know. I don't know where we're going. If there's as much change, Niall, if there's as much change in the next decade as there has been in the last decade, we won't recognise our country.
100%. No, it's moving so fast, and like you said at the start of the show, they're looking to change everything all the time. They just can't change things and quickly enough, and the more change, the better. I just don't understand, why do we need to change everything? Why do we need to change our entire society upside down?
No,
it just doesn't make any sense to me.
And look, we're getting into the once you get Halloween over, Christmas is starting in the shops and everything like that. And over the next while, you're going to notice more so than any other years, the word Christmas is not going to be used near as much as it used to be. And it's going to be winter festivals, and it's going to be festive mince pies, and it's going to be all these things.
It'll be happy holidays instead of Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays, because we can't be offending the Muslim community, or we can't be. I'd be surprised now if you and me or a few of us moved over to not some other country. And they decided to change things because they didn't want insult the couple of paddies beyond the corner.
But the foreigners don't even complain, though. The thing is, like, the foreigners are not even complaining about these things, but then the establishment says, "Oh, we gotta welcome everybody. We can't be offending anyone." And the foreigners are like, we don't care. Like we're not offended anyway.
No, they're not. But you see, and it's that whole rhetoric. Look at the racist card and the far right thing, and if you open your mouth anything, no, there's a few too many migrants. Oh, geez, that's shocking racist. No, it's an observation. It's my opinion. We are living with people. We are living with people of every nationality for the last 30, 40 years, and we have got on so well with them, and we've welcomed them. And when that fire was in Drogheda last week, the local politicians were coming on saying, these far right people, I hope they never have to go to the hospital and get treated by somebody from India, and you're looking at them going, what are you talking about? Nobody has said anything like that at all. So
I know. I always hear the same nonsense from them. Look, I suppose we'll wrap things up shortly because I don't want to take up too much of your time. When you're speaking to, I suppose, what's going on with the farmers? Like, you might speak to them more than other people. How are they feeling? And what's the general feel among the Irish people? I do sense a change, like compared to 5 years ago. Probably not enough change, but attitudes are starting to change. Probably not enough.
Farming has been good. Farming has been good in certain sectors for the last while. Other sectors are really struggling, and going forward now into 2026, most sectors of agriculture, apart from beef, is going to be under severe pressure. And farmers, like, land is so expensive to buy, land is so expensive to rent, and there's such a push on the solar, and this really worries me that farming. I have a theory that farming has been forced into an unprofitable sort of a cycle that will push a lot of farmers. There's a lot of landowners who don't have an interest in farming. They inherited land, or there's other people who would farm the land until they hadn't a euro in their pocket. But there is people out there who it's simply just to make money, and then people are leasing out the farms for solar farms and things like that. And that'll be I find that very worrying because there's no income for anybody in the countryside if the land is covered in solar panels. And we need food, not solar in the ground.
Yeah, farmers don't really think forward into the future about future generations. Like I have this concept of if farmers were paid to burn their sheds to the ground, they got grants for doing that. They would do it. They wouldn't think twice about it.
No, and look at the grants. Farmers will say that never spread. I'll give you slurry spreading is a big part of my job. And farmers who never spread their own slurry, never had a slurry tanker, then tick the box to get a grant for a slurry tanker within the last 10 years. Bought a slurry tanker, something they did not need because they got, and now that slurry tanker is lying at the back of a ditch somewhere because they didn't look after it and they're back getting us again to do it in some cases. And instead of giving that farmer a 40% grant or whatever it was to buy that machine, and they won't give me a grant, like I'm not a farmer, so I have to pay 100% for the machine. Why not give that farmer a 40% grant towards his invoice that I give him for the work? If I use the modern machinery to do it for him, there's no joined up thinking. You're giving somebody a grant to buy something that they really don't know how to use.
Yeah, and they probably need a dribble bar on it now and all that.
Well,
it had
to have a dribble bar.
Had to have dribble bar.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. No, I know, but the people who are making these policies are probably people who've never worked a day in their life. They're pencil pushers up in some office, in probably Brussels, that have never worked a day in their life, and they don't understand farming. This is who's dictating policy to us now. Go ahead, Chris.
I also think, Niall, that there's a lot of corruption too, and it's like you being a minister for something, and me being your friend, and you giving me the heads up and saying, "Do you know what's going to be huge in a couple of years' time?" And I say, "What?" And you say, "Modular homes. Modular homes are going to be the go-to thing." And what do? I start little factory making modular homes because you gave me the tip off. And there's too much of that. It was like Eamon Ryan. Eamon Ryan is connected to all the greenways around the country. He has a company called Safari Cycling or whatever it is, and they rent out bicycles all over the country to go on the greenways. And he got every greenway done in the country. And it's not connected to him. It's a company that's in his sister's name or something like that, but it's his company.
There's all this crony capitalism going on all the time, backhanders and insider training, insider knowledge. No, it really does annoy me. Look, there's a question in the live chat here. Someone's saying, what does Chris think of the Mercosur trade deal?
Oh, it's very worrying. It's extremely worrying because we're going to be competing against countries that don't have to follow the same regulations as Ireland. And our beef at the moment is in a hell of a place. It's too much. We're getting too much for the beef as it is. But overnight that could crash. That could completely crash the industry. I very much fear the Americans deal. And our government are just sitting back doing nothing. Simon Harris didn't even attend a meeting that he was supposed to attend in Europe last week. At a meeting of different countries. Like Poland, I think, are going to vote against it. If a few countries vote against it, it can be held up, and it's looking like Ireland won't vote against it.
We see Micheál Martin's in Brazil at the minute at the United Nations Climate Change Summit or something.
Yeah, Micheál Martin's beyond, and I think the Americans and the Chinese didn't go to it at all, so they didn't. So like Micheál Martin is beyond, and so Bill Gates, the lad who has been pushing the climate hoax from the start, has come out in the last week and said that it's not man-made. What his qualifications are, to have any opinion on it, I don't know. But climate change has been happening all our lives. Look at poor David Bellamy when he came out and said that climate change wasn't man-made on Blue Peter 20-odd years ago, and they cancelled him. The man lost his house over it. It's another hoax. There's money to be made out of climate change.
So I suppose just wrapping things up now, what do you see going forward, and what advice have you got to the Irish people who might be listening?
I don't know. I'll tell you, we had a success in the presidential election. The Irish people who spoiled their votes had a huge success. And we need more of that, because there is a definite change in direction with our government. Like the election was, the vote was on the Friday, the count was on the Saturday, and by the Monday or Tuesday, you had Simon Harris standing on the street saying, yes, we have too many migrants in the country, because they know they're on the back foot. And we need to keep that momentum going. There's a lot of different movements in the country. And I tell you what there needs to be. There needs to be a bit of unity. There's too many people looking to make change, but they want to be the one. It's like having a football team and not cheering when you score a goal because it wasn't you that scored it. That's what I see in Ireland. There's all these breakaway groups want to change the country, but if that group over there succeeds, you nearly blacken them because it wasn't your group. And if we don't get that sorted, we're never going to make anything of ourselves.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people saying that type of thing, that there's too many splinter groups and too many people, too many leaders that want want all the glory,
Yeah, I just want a better Ireland, and I hope to God someone else does it. But if I always, if I trust somebody and think they're doing a good thing, I'll always row in behind them. And that, but there's just not enough people doing it. I see it in my own area here. You could fill the place with iPads. You could have lads running up and down the street with knives, and nobody would do anything. But there was a man looking to build a piggery over the road, and the whole parish came together to run him out of town. So that's what their priorities are.
Wow. Look, Chris, it's really good to have you on. Thanks so much for coming on, and maybe in the future we might have you on again soon. Thanks so much again.
Yeah, very enjoyable. Thanks a million.
Good man, Chris, either. Okay. Oh, I pressed the mute button there. That was Chris Duffy. Make sure you get him on Facebook. Good man, Chris. Thanks so much for coming on. In the live chat, any questions? I should have probably asked you. I need to, at the very start of my show, say anybody, and I'd say now Noreen O'Shea's live. I forgot to change the text there. But it is what it is. It's all right. So look, everyone, thanks so much for tuning in. My name is Niall McConnell. We're live Tuesday, Thursday, Sundays at 8 p.m. We're bringing you kind of what's happening in Ireland. We upload multiple videos every day too. I uploaded a couple of interviews I did today, one with a migrant and one with an Irishman. So great stuff, everybody. I suppose there's a number of ways you can support our work. One way is to subscribe to my YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram or Twitter channels. Share these live streams with all your friends and family. It costs you absolutely nothing to do it. And if you want to support our work, you can join as a member. This is the membership pack you will receive in the post. You get this membership box, this membership badge. You also get the Who We Are booklet describing what we're all about. And you get the historic 1916 Freedom Proclamation. And you get the Irish tricolour flag. You can join as a member from anywhere in the world. And the membership card as well. Last but not least. So join as a member now. Click the link in the bio or click the link below this video. Support our work now. Any money that comes in, it goes straight back into the movement. We attend nearly every protest in Ireland. We have Ireland's only patriotic newspaper, the Irish Patriot. We have newspaper distributors all over the country. We're working on the latest issue now. We get 50,000 newspapers printed every single issue to be distributed all over Ireland. So we need your support. We cannot do this without you. So join as a member now or chip into our flag fund to be hand out thousands and thousands of flags all for free up and down the country. So your support is greatly appreciated. Right, we'll be live again on Sunday at 8 p.m. Might do a news show because I've done 2 interviews now this week, so we need to get back and do a news show, right? So thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you again. God bless us all. Aaron go bra.